Hey guys, this is Blue Peters, your knowledge fanatic and enthusiast, here to offer you a video as a tool to learn about the transition from INAC, aka Indigenous Affairs, going into Canadian government. Okay? This is called Indigenous Services Canada, or it will be called that. As we speak, it's in transformation to become that. Back in August 2017, Justin Trudeau government announced the dissolution of Indigenous Northern Affairs. Now, the definition of dissolution is the shutdown or closure of an official body. Okay, so they shut down what represents us. Okay, so there's a lot of healthy skepticism around that. So who represents us? Let me tell you. This notice, first I'll tell you where these notices show up. These notices show up in the Indigenous Services Canada page. The link is in the description below. And not only that, it also shows up in the main page of INAC. You can't miss it. It's right on the top. Indigenous Northern Affairs, okay? I also put that in the description. So these changes were pushed forth by Justin Trudeau back in 2015 in about December, when about 60 band offices / tribes / fellow Indigenous peoples, he said that the higher up in INAC that represented us, the Indigenous people, will in fact be in charge and have a great pull on Indigenous Services Canada. The merge of Canadian government and Indigenous Northern Affairs, which is a huge load off of my shoulders and a huge load off of many shoulders. Because what happens when Trudeau gets voted out to another person, that person is still representing us on us, okay? Great. But what surprised me the most in December of 2015, when he was amongst all these tribes, band offices, and Indigenous peoples, is when he said that there has to be a total renewal of relationship between the Indigenous people of Canada and the Canadian government. Let's just recognize that for a minute. A total renewal of relationship between Canadian government and Indigenous peoples of Canada. Wow. I can't help but have to smile about that. So, after he said that, he also admitted that the government had profound damages on the Indigenous people in the way of them handling us. With his commitments on putting forth efforts for our Indigenous people, he says that this is in hopes that it will help our people heal and be heard to put an end to ongoing tragedies. That's what he said. So his priority is the First Nations funding. At that time in 2015, December, he lifted the 2% cap that First Nations had for First Nations monies. Okay, so another huge thing. That 2%'s been there for a while. In efforts to promote and preserve First Nations ways, he put forth $1.8 billion over 5 years to improve reserve waters and sewage infrastructures. Okay, $409 million over 5 years to improve solid waste management on reserve. Okay, $969.4 million over 5 years time span. First Nations education infrastructure on reserve. And it doesn't end there. $416 million over 2 years to addressing housing needs on reserve. Okay. There's also $76.9 million over 2 years cultural recreational infrastructures on reserve. Recreational, so that's for the youth. That's parks. That's pools, perhaps. That's skate parks. It's for our youth, for our daughters, for our sons, for our nephews, our nieces. To have something fun to do, to group together, to create some teamwork and community at a young age on reserve. Yeah. So one of the things he said at that very meeting among the Indigenous peoples is that he recognized the fact that controlling the Indigenous peoples and trying to make better for the Indigenous peoples from the top down is not the way to do it. He recognized that. And he said that he will listen to us with whatever we have to say on what works and what doesn't with these numbers that we have here. And these aren't proposes. These numbers have already went through. Okay? They already went through. They're not proposes, I repeat. And so 2017 proposes investment of $4 billion over 10 years through the Investing of Canada plan starting in 2018 to 2019 to build and improve housing, water treatment systems, health facilities, and other community infrastructures in partnership with Indigenous places. This is all really big news, and I believe that it has to be talked about. People should be told, because I cannot stress enough that yes, we should flourish and be happy and celebrate with these amount of monies given to the Indigenous peoples so that we can grow as a community and just our nation. It's amazing. Yes, we should celebrate. But we need to work together. We are partners with Trudeau. He said it himself that he wants to listen to us on whatever we have to say on what works and what doesn't. Because in ways to do that, you would speak to your band office on what you need for your family. And perhaps voice for another family in what they need if they don't have the resources to let the band know. Okay? And the band will try to do their best, I hope, to get these things done. And if they do not have the resources to do that, they will, in trust and in confidence, will contact INAC, soon changing into the Canadian Government Indigenous Services Canada and Crown Indigenous Relations, so that they can shift monies or add monies for those things in need right now for Indigenous peoples. I cannot stress that enough. It is teamwork. That feedback is crucial for where the money belongs, for our sons, our daughters, our nephews, our uncles, our aunties, all of our family, our elders, everyone that is important to us for the next generations to come. So thank you for taking the time to learn about some of the things. I really think that a lot of people should know about this and talk about this amongst each other. And if there are any things that you want me to really dig into, like the 5 years improve reserve water and sewage infrastructures, or improve solid waste management on reserves, First Nations education infrastructures on reserve, if you want me to get into address housing needs on reserve. I know Trudeau helicoptered into a few reserves and really addressed some of the solid waste management, and I thought that was amazing. I really appreciate and I sincerely thank you that you took the time to listen. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it to people who may not know about this information, because it will help your community and your family in the generations to come. Thank you.